Hello folks and welcome back to the Vision of Veritas here. So when I got up this morning, I was looking through a whole lot of news articles that are going on around the country. I mean, there's any number of things and any number of topics to pick on which you can discuss. It's kind of irritating because there's so much and only being one person. But from what I can see, the biggest story today is, and probably for the next several days, if not several weeks, is this takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk. You have any number of quote-unquote celebrities saying that they're leaving or they're deleting their Twitter accounts. And for the record, I am very, very new to Twitter. I'm kind of from the Facebook era, the Facebook generation, and prior to that, MySpace. But I really don't know a whole lot about Twitter as far as how it functions, how it integrates with everything. But one thing I did notice about Twitter is how quick it is to censor. A while ago, I did create an account. This was a couple years ago. I said one or two things. I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember the topic it was about. But I was banned from Twitter within a matter of hours. So after that, I said screw it. And I didn't bother with the platform anymore until I opened up a new account to go along with this channel here. And yes, I'm treading very lightly on it. But with everybody saying how they're quitting and so many people saying that Twitter is now going to be a platform with free speech not being recognized, at least one group of people is saying that, it really makes you wonder how they come to this conclusion. To this current generation, free speech, it almost seems as though free speech is only valid to an individual whenever said free speech aligns with what that particular individual thinks. And it makes you wonder just how we got to this position, how we got from a classic Democrat that said, I may not agree with you, but I will fight for your ability to say it, to now saying, if you don't agree with my views, if you don't agree with what I say or what the current political narrative is, I will make sure you are silenced. It doesn't matter if you have a valid opinion. It doesn't matter if you have evidence contrary to my particular belief. If I don't like it or it negatively affects what I want, I'm going to make sure it's silenced. I mean, can you understand the level of narcissism that one has to have in order to come to that conclusion that your opinion within its own echo chamber, when coming together in a town hall discussion, is the only one that's correct? Now, I'm not referring to fact and fiction. I'm not referring to an opinion being proven fact due to evidence. That's an entirely separate issue, discussion. That's an entirely separate ideology. What I'm referring to are differing opinions in a town hall, and the moderators or the Twitter gods coming together and saying, unless your opinion aligns with this, it's going to get removed. It's going to be labeled as misinformation. We're simply going to get rid of it with no evidence to the contrary. Now, for those of you who are saying it's a private company, they can do whatever they want, you're absolutely correct, but correct to a point. Yes, they are a private company, but they hold a monopoly on how information is presented, how it's distributed. They hold a monopoly on what is discussed and what isn't discussed. You're talking about a platform that can quite literally decide elections if it wanted to. This isn't just a private company. It's become a company whose policies are at the behest of a specific political party. And that's a problem. It ceases to become a private company and therefore subject to private company protections when it can quite literally decide election outcomes. When it can single-handedly control the information in a digital space to which the entirety of America has access to. And even playing devil's advocate here, I could potentially see that if it was just Twitter that did this, it could be left to the protections of a private company. But that's not the case. This has now become a standard across all digital platforms. It's become a standard across at least each and every major method that we use for the entirety of communication throughout the world. I mean, even your search engine results are censored to reflect Google's political perspective. But at least from what we can see on the surface, we have Elon Musk coming into Twitter and saying, you know what? I see a problem with this. I want Twitter to be what it was supposed to be, a digital town square, to quote him, where people can freely express and exchange ideas. without the fear of censorship. Now, I'm not referring to a call to violence or specifically a call to action that is illegal. That is not allowed, even under the First Amendment. But again, Musk came in and said that he is going to bring back balance to the platform. So many people are up in arms about it. And at least for me, it makes me wonder how these individuals, how really a majority of people who have large platform voices, it's alarming to me how they actually believe that their voice in the echo chamber that is Twitter, at least was Twitter, was what free speech is, or their idea of free speech. Like I said earlier, free speech used to mean, you know what, I don't agree with what you say, but I'll discuss it with you. And if someone tries to silence you, I will come to your defense just to say it, just for the ability to say it. And if it truly is an incorrect opinion, if we can prove it false with evidence, then we'll do that. But you damn well have a right to say that until we prove it otherwise. That's precisely what this country was founded upon. So tell me, what do you think? Where do you think along the line of our history did things suddenly switch, where we went from our First Amendment, in my opinion, the second most important amendment, only to the Second Amendment being the first important? But where did this country go wrong along our historical timeline to now think that free speech is only recognized if whatever you're speaking about goes along with whatever the current political narrative is? You know, if you can't think about this logically, what is the one way, not the one way, what is the best way to ensure accurate information, especially in a digital space like Twitter, like Facebook, any of these massive platforms? What is the best way to ensure that incorrect ideas are shot down without the use of censorship? The best way to achieve that is truly to let everybody speak their minds. Because if we can all come together in a town hall, in a digital square, so to speak, we can all share ideas and offer up evidence. I'm not talking anecdotal or just anecdotal, but everybody offering up something rather than an all-powered Twitter moderator silencing those opinions that the current leftist political party doesn't agree with. That's truly the best way to achieve a content fact check, so to speak. One that isn't beholden to anybody, any political party, right or left. One that isn't receiving funding from anybody, right or left. The best way to achieve this is to have those who are doing the arguing make the case for their point and say why or why not. That allows everybody around him or her to fact check. Now, yes, people may come up with their own conclusions, either for or against it, based on whatever's available, but at least that individual isn't silenced because he or she doesn't agree with the narrative that's being pushed. As far as I know, we are the only country on the planet that has a guaranteed liberty of free speech. There isn't any other nation out there that has it written into its constitution that you as a citizen have a right to speak your mind. You have a right to have the wrong opinion too. It's a fundamental right that you have that was granted you upon simply being born into this country. That right is being eroded because of the different methods of communication. If there's an all-powerful platform or platforms that disallow a specific political perspective or disallow certain ideas and certain thoughts because it doesn't fit a specific political narrative, then the notion of the free speech that you have been granted simply by being born in this country no longer exists. You know, I'll leave you with this, which is what I personally think is the most profound quote on free speech that George Washington ever said. For if men are to be precluded from offering their sentiments on a matter which may involve the most serious and alarming consequences that can invite the consideration of mankind, reason is of no use to this. The freedom of speech may be taken away, and dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. In other words, if you take the ability away for a free people to speak freely, to speak their mind, to offer their opinion, to prove or disprove somebody else's opinion, it's very serious and alarming and will have consequences. If you don't invite the consideration of others into a conversation, into a digital sphere like we have with Twitter, if you don't invite other people's opinions so you can form a correct opinion or a fact about a specific subject, your freedom of speech is essentially taken away. What will happen and what is happening is you now have a political party controlling what speech is allowed. And just like George Washington said, we are now being led dumb and silent, like sheep led to the slaughter. Thank you for joining me today for the Vision of Veritas here. If you got anything out of today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe. I really would like to grow this channel, and I cannot do it without you. And remember, your ability to speak freely is paramount to the understanding of the truth. Not a truth, not somebody else's truth, not somebody's personal truth, but the truth. Take care, my friends.